Good morning, everyone. This is Sharon. Today I would like to share with you a flip through of the very first Christmas journal I made for the season. This journal is a custom order that I made for Gene, and he had requested a Victorian style Christmas journal that had lots of green, reds, gold, and silver in it. So that's what I tried to achieve. For the closure, I used a tarnished brass buckle. And for the fabric, I used a strip of a green velvet that I had. It's got some ribbing on it, and what I did was rip the selvage edge, so it's also got this kind of neat edge to it on the top, and then a little bit of the velvet on there as well. For the cover of the journal, I used a vintage church hymnal, and it had this really nice red patina on it. I think it's got just the right amount of wear to give it a wonderful finish. And then on the front cover, I used this antique Christmas postcard. I layered it up with some Florentine paper, and then I just trimmed it with some metallic paper that I punched out. And then on the spine, I just added this little label with some angels on it. Going inside, I covered the inside covers with this beautiful wallpaper pattern from Ruby and Pearl. And I went through all of my digital kits, which are literally hundreds, and pulled different images that I thought I might want to use in this journal. So I'm not really going to list specifically what kits I used because I'm not sure if I could. I had quite a few that I pulled from, like I said. But if you have any questions about any specific images, just shoot me a question and I can probably look them up for you. What I can tell you is a lot of the pages that I used, the main images, come from a kit from Joyous Crafting. And she has a kit called Joyer Noel, and she's on Ko-fi. And I really love that kit. I used a lot of those. And then I also used a number from Ruby and Pearl as well. So as we head through, just a note on the fabric that I used for the spine is a real soft, it's almost like a cashmere feeling wool. It's something I pulled from the inside of a vintage wool coat. And I just thought that went well with all the colors in the journal. So heading through, on this page, I created a side tuck and edged it with some plaid washi. And then in there, I tucked this vintage Christmas card. It's a pretty card and matching envelope. I've incorporated several book pages from a vintage Christmas book that I have, and the book just touches on all kinds of Christmas traditions, from cards to ornaments, all different things, tree trimming. So I've got some of those in here. On this side of the page, I created this shallow pocket, and in there, I made this tag. That's what the page looks like. And then I've got some German Bible pages in here as well, a German Bible from the 1800s. And on this page, I just clipped a couple of little journaling cards. I've also used some of my Christmas washi to trim up some of the pages. Here on this page, I created a top tuck and embellished that with some plaid wool fabric. And then in that tuck, I put this envelope that I made, and I just tied that up with some string. And in there, I've got some antique book pages from some old prayer missals, and I believe I also inserted a journal card, but I'm not going to open that up. On this side of the page, I clipped on this vintage Christmas card. I've got a number of these in my collection. For the center of the signature, I love this image of the skaters. And on the strings, I added a couple of buttons. And then for the corners, just to embellish them a little bit, I tucked them in and put some brads on there just to add some interest. And then on this page, I attached like a little scrappy notebook. And that just stays on there and can be used for some writing. Here's another top tuck with some of that plaid wool. And then I made another envelope that I tied up. And this one I can probably flip open quite easily, just to show you some of the items that I tucked inside there. Here I created a little journaling card. I put this image on some cardstock that's quite sturdy, and then I just added a little bit of gold paint on there. And on the back I have this pocket and then a little card in there. On this page, here's another one of those, that vintage book. And then in there I created this tag and just added a little bit of metallic trim on the top for the tab. And then on the back I've got a wax seal. And this is some coffee dyed paper. On this side of the page, I created a pocket with this decorative paper, attached this cute little card. And then behind there, I tucked this tag. I love this little boy and his Christmas tree. And then this is some musical paper image. And then room 2 journal on the back side. On this page, I attached this, it's a waxed piece of book page. I just like the patina on there, and it's a little bit translucent. I trimmed that up at the top a little bit. And in there, I attached this piece of Victorian scrap. I acquired some of these recently, and they came from the 1880s. I just like the images on there. And then I also incorporated into the journal a number of original book pages, so there's a lot of music within the book. Here on this page, I included a photo of these people dressed in their winter best, and I made that into a belly band, and behind there I tucked this vintage Christmas card. I just love the simplicity of this. It's got a Bible verse on there and some gold edging around. Here is a line page that can be used for writing. On this page, I added a little bit of glitter just for some Christmas bling. And then on this side of the page, I created this envelope that I attached to the page and set it up as a tuck spot as well. And that opens, and in there I just have a couple of vintage cookbook pages. I always think of food when I think of Christmas, so this has some nice old-time recipes for fig pudding, raisin pie, and pumpkin pie, and other yummy things. And then behind that envelope, I've got a couple of journaling cards that I made. Oops. This one that I stenciled, and this one, the bells. And this we can just tuck back in. This page, I don't remember where I got it. It's a vintage or antique image of a place in France. It's a cathedral, and I think it must have been a book page or something. When I got it, it was already pasted to this kind of greenish gray paper, and I just added some festive stamping on the top. And then it's open, so behind there there's some nice large tuck spots, and in there I just added a couple of German Bible pages and inserted these pretty Christmas images. And this would be a nice place to just tuck a bunch of things, photos and papers and things that you might want to put in there. In this side, I've got another image in there. Here I created a tuck with this Florentine paper. And in there, I've got this piece. I printed this title page onto some handmade paper. It's got some really nice texture to it. When I think of a Victorian journal or a Victorian Christmas, I always think of Charles Dickens and A Christmas Carol. So I've got a number of references to that book in here. And then on the back of this, I've got this embossed piece of tissue paper, and then this image from A Christmas Carol. And I just added this spread with the C for Christmas or Christmas Carol or whatever you want it to be. And embellish this with some of that metallic looking paper I have. And then on this page, I've got a corner tuck, and in there I put this antique French letter from 1864. And it's got some really nice scripty handwriting inside. And then I also tucked in there this vintage paper that I got from Rachel at Roxy Creations. This is an Italian piece. Just love the blue typing on there. I edged some of my pages with this plaid washi tape, which I really like for Christmas. And then on this side of the page, I created a rather large tuck with this Florentine paper that has a Christmas design to it. And then in there, I created this journaling card. I matted this on some of that homemade or handmade paper again. What I find is a lot of my images and a lot of my work is very matte. So I thought I would take this image, print it on some glossy photo paper just to have some different texture in the journal. I put this velvet tab on the top, and then on the back side, I just, on the outside of the stitching, added some stencil with ink, and then there's a place to write on there. On this page, this is a piece of antique ledger from 1867, and over the top of that page I made this journaling spot. There's an angel on the outsides, and I just added some fabric on the top, some ties on the bottom, and then on the inside there's ample space to write. Here's a nice old-time Christmas tree on that page. I just trimmed it up a little bit with some decorative paper. And in the center of this signature, oops, I missed a page. Okay, here's the back side of that book page. And then this page I waxed and did some 3D stenciling on there with some paste. And then in the center, have this nice winter scene. It's just a very cozy, Christmassy looking photo. I just love that one. And then on this side again, I did some stenciling. Then on this page, I created a corner tuck with this antique postcard. Love the image on there of the children. And then in there, I placed this tag that I made. This is, I think, a nice Victorian looking home on that page. And I just created this corner tuck with this image of the, I think it's like a little boys choir singing Christmas songs. And then there's a little tuck there that you can slip something behind. And then on this side, I've got this that flips out. And then in there, I made this little booklet. I've been meaning to make a journal with these string ties, and I just haven't been able to get around to doing it. So I've been making these little notebooks instead, using them because I just love the look of that. So I've got this image on the front, and then on the inside, I've used these images from Heather at Ruby and Pearl's latest Christmas kit. It's just a very faint image of a ledger page, and I just made it as translucent as possible so that you could use it for writing. And then I've incorporated on the in the pages these beautiful winter illustrations. And then we've got the ledger, and then another illustration, if I can get the page turned. This one of the reindeer. And then one more, that pretty image. On this page, I created a pocket with this beautiful wool fabric, and I've just added another piece of wool on the top that's a plaid. And then in there, I took another piece of this old Victorian die cut of these two angels, and then just this little card to write on, and then another journaling card with this beautiful image on, place to write on the back. This is one of my favorite pages in that kit that I used. Really pretty. Here I created a side tuck with some antique wallpaper. And then in there I tucked some of the pages from this hymnal. So this is the title page. I just added an ornament to the top of that. And I put those together with the little brad in the corner. So I like this page. It's all of the dates in the church calendar for the year. And then a place to write as well. On this page, that's what that looks like. I've got an antique postcard. And then I've got this envelope that I created. It's another one of my inside out envelopes. From our financial company, we get these envelopes with this grayish blue pinstripe, and I just love that pinstripe pattern. So what I did was I cut it down to size. It was a little too large. Added a little bit of a label and some washi around the window. And then on the back side, I was tempted to do a lot of collaging and decorating, but I didn't because I just love the simplicity of the stripe. So I just added that little piece in the corner. And then in the window, I've got this image of this angel looking in a window, like that. And then inside, I've just got this little bundle of cards that I made, and they're cinched up with this paper and this little holder. And then I lined it with some music paper. This page that I incorporated, I got out of an antique Christmas book. I actually have a digital kit in my Etsy shop where I pulled some images from this book, but it's from the late 1800s, I think 1891. It's just got some beautiful images and music sheets and stories and things in it. I just love to use that as a reference at Christmas time. So this is one of the pages from that book, Mary and Jesus. And then on the back side, I created this top tuck with these pretty birds. And in there, I've got this piece. It's channeling Heather from Rose Hill Paper Cottage. It's kind of one of those sheets where you fold it up and create a nice little pocket. So in there, I've got this little card. And then this opens up. It's got this pretty image of the angels, and then place to write on the back. This spread, I love just the look of it. This is an actual vintage piece of Christmas wrapping paper that I purchased from Jubilee Flea. And I just love the patina on that. On the back side too, it's got this really nice tan color to it. And then on this side is another one of those book pages, and I just love images of food at Christmas time. I embellished it with some antique wallpaper. And then in that pocket, I made this journaling card, image from A Christmas Carol. And then there's room to write on the back. And then I also included this image of A Christmas Carol book cover. Love this picture. The table spread, and then on this side, got some more desserts, and then another journaling card that I made. This is the other side of that piece of wrapping paper. And then on this page, it's a writing page behind, and then I just included this vintage Christmas card. Here I created a pocket from some straw paper, embellished that a little bit, and then in there I tucked this little journaling spot. I just tied that up with some wax thread so it's nice and sticky, but it's strong. And then that opens up for some writing room inside, and that's just a piece of antique ledger paper that I put on the inside. This is the back. Here I've got a couple of side tucks that I made with these angel images. And then in each of those I added some journaling cards, did some stamping on there. This is an embossed piece of paper, and that actually would act as a tuck also. And then I've got the 25 on top with this label. And then on this page I have these two images that I embossed, and then I just tied them up with some string. Here I created a pocket and did a little bit of machine stitching on there, and then in that pocket I've got this little card, and then another little spot to write. In this pocket, this is a page from a book that I have. It's called The Life of Christ. And I pulled a page from the book that has this pretty image on it. And the caption says, interior of the Chapel of the Nativity. I just thought that was fitting. And then in there, I created this little booklet. It's actually more like a little folio. The inside has this Christmas picture of everyone eating. It says, Christmas comes but once a year. And then I folded the bottom up and created a little pocket where I tucked in these two journaling cards. Here I created a belly band, and I just notched it in the center on each side and then cinched that up with a piece of velvet ribbon and added a decorative button onto that. And then behind there, I tucked another one of these vintage Christmas cards. This page is an Edith Holden book page for December. I just embellished that a little bit with this fussy cut image. And then I created a pocket on this side. So I actually used two sheets from the Edith Holden book and just created a little pocket on there. And then I inserted this journaling card that I made and added some wool for the tab. That's the back. Kind of set it up a little bit like a cabinet card. I love this image of the lady in her winter outfit, and then I just used some vintage photo corners to attach that. Here in the center of this signature is another nice Christmas scene, very cozy. I just added a little label in the corner, and then on the strings, I just took a couple pieces of old linen and stamped those. Here I created a corner tuck with this antique wallpaper, and then I just added a little piece of fabric at the top with some decorative stitching. And in there, I created this little envelope from some postcard images. And then inside there, I just added some vintage ledger paper that's green and red. Green with some red writing on it. I thought that was fitting for Christmas. And then on the back side of that is plain, so there's writing room on there. And then on this side of the Edith Holden book page, I've got another pocket. Did a little bit of stenciling with paste on the top. And then I've got this other cabinet card that I made. On this page, I just hung this ornament type image, cut that out, placed it right on the back. And then I just did a little stenciling again on the bottom. Did a little collaging on this page. I like how she's posing for the camera and is oblivious to the fact that he's going to throw a snowball at her. And then over on this side, I created a shallow pocket, added a little piece of a vintage ornament box that I have. And then it kind of creates a double pocket because I have this one on the back as well. And then I inserted this photo in the front. Cute little baby dressed in winter woolies, the way it looks to me. And then in this pocket, I've got this little booklet that I made. Some handmade paper on the inside. And then here's another page from that Life of Christ book that I have. It says The Star in the East. And that brings us to the back side. So I hope you enjoyed that flip through today. Like I said, this is my first Christmas journal that I made for the year. I am working on several others. This is the only custom order that I have for Christmas journals. So the rest that I make for this year are ones that I will just be putting in my Etsy shop over the next several weeks. So stay tuned for those. We'll see how many I get done. But until next time, bye-bye.